Hello, everybody. There's a small squeaking in the background as my dog plays with a toy, but I'm going to try and edit that out of the final track. If if you can hear it, it means I haven't been able to edit it out of the track. But there's a nice metaphor for that, I think. What I want to talk about today in this short message is how to wake up in the dream. So, if we begin to look on our life as a dream, you can see that, when you are experiencing a dream, it's you're dropped into a world, some things are familiar, many things are not, and you kind of feel like you are at the fate of those circumstances in the dream. And this is very much our life. Our lives are a scripted dream. And this scripted dream is basically um, all the things that you were doing automatically. And you were doing these things automatically because you just know how you behave in certain circumstances. You know how you react in certain circumstances. You know what you do and you know what you don't do. You know your limits. And your limits are kind of the character that has been written for you. And so, for example, you can see when in your closest relationships, when this person starts to manipulate, you cave. When maybe this person starts to express their feelings, you get angry. And you can begin to see that there's a lot of, say, programmed reactions in you, and this is your script. The script is a little bit like a prison that you are caught in. We're all caught in. And what we're trying to do, all the work that we're trying to do, is to wake up from the script and just do something different. Do something that will be more conducive to our happiness. The problem with our scripts is that by and large, our scripts are things that control us and that kind of disempower us. The whole reason that we have these scripts in place is to disempower us. It's to limit us. It's to better make us forget our capabilities. I think you can kind of become aware of the script in just some turns of phrase that you might use. Things like, oh, I would never do that, or oh, that's typical me, and so on and so forth. These ways that we, for some reason, impose and accept restrictions. What this does is it takes away our freedom. If we if we accept these limits and these restrictions, what we're doing is we are basically just accepting the script that's been handed to us. We're going, okay, this is my character, this is what that character does. Oh, it's a shame they do that, but there's nothing can be done about it. It's written already. And so what we're learning to do is to wake up inside the script. So it's a little bit, you can imagine this, you're a character in a movie, and the character just suddenly breaks the fourth wall. They start to go, hold on, I'm not going to do this anymore. It's very much the Truman Show idea. You realize, okay, everything, I keep on doing this, I keep on repeating this, and you just stop. And the way that you just stop is you just move into this place of awareness. And you activate awareness before you do anything. So, for example, just it's Sunday. Um, I was walking out on the streets and I just thought, oh, I'll call my mother. That's a habit. It's a scripted pattern in me. It's on a Sunday, I habitually think the thought appears. Your thinking is all part of how the script is reinforced. The thought appears, call your mother, it's Sunday. There's no part of my body that really wants to call my mother. This isn't to say that I don't love my mother or anything like that, but there's no authentic desire to call her on the Sunday. The authentic desire is actually just to stay with my own, just to walk and not be interrupted in my walk. So awareness pulls you out of the character briefly. This is what it does. You just go, hold on, there's an automatic behavior, a scripted behavior about to kick in. You wake up and you go, no, I'm not going to do that. It's the same way. I think you can look at this a lot. Like, and if you're listening to this before Monday morning, you might get a sense of it. On Monday morning, it's written into most of our scripts that we wake up in a state of action and panic. That's our script. That's our conditioning. And so, what can be a good way, if it's possible for you, is to try and wake up with this idea of just becoming aware. Become aware of the tension. Become aware of the thoughts leading up to a Monday morning. Like if you begin to look at your thoughtscape on a Monday morning compared to a Sunday morning, depending on what kind of life you have, but I'm just assuming I'm assuming we can all relate to the idea of Sunday being a day of rest and Monday to Friday being days of tying yourself to the desk and slaving away for the man, right? But you can begin to see how your script is. You can begin to see your patterns in relationship. That's your script. Your patterns with your friends. That's your script. Your patterns with even when you go to select clothes or get a haircut. It's your script. So the first step is just to become aware of it, to see, I'm in a script. I am a bit player in a movie. I'm just rolling along through this scripted universe and I'm following my script perfectly. And that's why I don't feel fully in control. And that's why life seems to happen to me. So just becoming aware of it is the first thing. The next thing is to start to create your own choices. It's, you wake up in the movie. And when the character who sort of has been programmed and scripted to behave in a certain way suddenly decides, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to do something different. And the different thing that you do is the thing that's really connected to your body. So on that very brief example that I'm given, I felt into my body and there was no desire to talk to my mother. And so I didn't. And I broke from the script. And then I found myself in a completely free space, a free space of having like a blank sheet with which to create. This happens all the time when you kind of look at your automatic behaviors. You look at your pre-programmed scripted behaviors and you stop and you go, well, hold on, is there an authentic feeling behind this? Is there a real desire to do this or not? And if you recognize, actually, there's no desire here, you don't do it. And you jump and you do something completely out of character. And this drops you into a whole new kind of script then, because you're always in some form of script. This is kind of the nature of our reality, is you're always moving somewhere. There's always a form of progress. Whether that progress is blind or whether it's awake is your choice. But when you decide, I don't want to do this thing anymore, in fact, I'd rather do something else, you wake up in the movie. And the whole purpose of all of this work is to try and spend more time awake than asleep inside the movie. And how we do this is we just keep coming back to this thing. Am I aware? Am I aware of what I'm doing? Do I want to do this right now? It can be as simple as that. You can just ask yourself the question, the thing that I'm doing right now, do I want to do it? The other aspect is that there's no point, you kind of have to forget your past. To move through this, to wake up inside the movie, you have to forget your past. You have to forget because your past is just your conditioning. And to a certain extent, you also have to not be so invested in the present. When you find yourself in a situation and you go, I don't want to be here, I don't want to be doing this, I have followed a script, and that script has led me to this place which won't make me happy. When you recognize that, there is no point in railing against the present. That doesn't work. It just reinforces the script. Instead, what you do is you begin to imagine a new future for the character. The next decision that comes along, you make a different decision. So you find yourself, it's a Sunday, and you are in the pub with your friends. And you wake up in the dream and you go, what am I doing in the pub with my friends? I don't want to be here. I want to be in nature. I'm so tired of listening to these conversations, these people complaining about their partners, these people complaining about their jobs, 10 different screens on around me, all playing different football matches, the smell of cocktail sausages and chips, little children screaming, throwing beer mats at each other. Whatever the horrible scenario that you find yourself in, that could be heaven for somebody else. But the scenario that you find yourself in, when you wake up in the middle of it and go, I don't want to be here, don't complain, don't blame. Just the next decision you make that decision one where it's fully connected to what you want. And then the next decision, again, let it be what you want. And let it be what you want. And just work at these small things, these very small steps. So you find yourself, you're listening to this and you're going, I'm in a marriage and I have these children and I don't like where I live and I don't like my job, or whatever disastrous scenario you might be in. Let the next decision you make be one where you make it fully awake rather than asleep, rather than autopilot. Let the next decision you make be one that comes from a place of full awareness. And then the one after that, full awareness. And in this way, you begin to rebel against your script. And slowly, life becomes much more pleasant. Life becomes much more something that you want to live. You end up having, because the decisions you're making are for yourself. You're doing things that you want to do. And joy starts to come from that. And that's it. That's all I really wanted to talk about. This idea of how to wake up in the dream, wake up in the movie, wake up in the script, and just become aware that things I'm doing are not what I want to do. I'm just following the script perfectly, like a good little actor. And maybe I don't want to follow the script anymore. Maybe I want to do what I want. So thank you, and talk to you soon. Bye bye.